Hi, everybody. So, welcome to part two of our class today. Well, of our series, I should say, just on Kriya Tantra precepts or rules here. So, last time we went over sort of long sort of verse on the rules, and this time just got a little bit of a shorter. This is almost like an appendix to the first part there, just on some sort of Kriya Tantra retreat rules that you sort of can kind of bring into your everyday life. So, related but a little bit different here. So I'm just going to start just for blessing, just to make it a little bit of a shorter video, just with the Heart Sutra here. Homage to perfection, wisdom, the Blessed Mother. Thus I've heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rashgir in Rasvaltra's mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and nuns and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. That time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That time also Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great beings, looking perfectly the past profound perfection, wisdom, looking perfectly also the five aggregates, being empty of inherent existence. Then through power Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a son in the lineage trained who wishes to gauge the past profound perfection, wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to gauge the past profound perfection, wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly also the five aggregates, being empty of inherent existence. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, this all phenomena are emptiness, having no characteristics. They are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There is no element, and so forth, up to no mentality element, also up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, and no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, and no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Passing utterly beyond perversity, they attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the three times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest, complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equaled and the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed, Tayata, Gade Gada Paragada Parasamgadi Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, Bodhisattva, great beings should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to Spirit Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, that he'd spoken well. Good, O son of the lineage, it is like that. And since it's like that, just as you have revealed, in that way the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra, Spirit Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Good. Okay. So again, just continuing on as having like a little bit of an appendices for our last class on Kriya Tantra rules. I just wanted to have a quick talk here on some observing retreat conditions. So the point is, this is if you want to do Kriya Tantra formal retreats, and particularly run permission retreats, to enter the mandala of the deity, to be able, so it's sort of counting the appropriate number of mantras, doing 4 sessions a day, all the rituals, and concluding with a fire purification ceremony or fire puja. Then you can do the mandala actions of that particular deity. But technically, like I said, in a lot of ways, when you're becoming a Kriya Tantra person, it's kind of like you're always in retreat. So it's not like I'm a regular sort of dummy running around just being a normal person. Oh, gotta be a Kriya Tantra guy. I'm going into my lay rung retreat. Then ding, I put on my Superman uniform of going, dressing in white. And it's like, well, all I do, like, again, is eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and drink beer all day. Well, I have to cut that off and have the Kriya Tantra vegetarian lifestyle. I'm not making fun, but I'm just saying that technically to really have the results, you kind of have to live it. You have to really sort of observe all the rituals and lifestyle and the dietary restrictions and so forth. This, again, it creates the container for your practice. So that container moves along with you. Rather than just kind of trying to put it on like a costume every now and then and trying to pretend to be a Kriya Tantra person for a quick retreat, then going back to being sort of like a regular worldly person, for instance, right? So these retreat conditions are good to know anyway, right? And again, like it's a way of sort of making your whole world a retreat. So you're breaking down, the key is that you're breaking down the difference between a meditation session and then your post meditation session or integration part. You end up being able to integrate it right across the board, right? That's what I think the point is. Otherwise, you get these sort of compartmentalized sort of dualistic lives between, sacred and profane, where, I'm on my cushion in a retreat, I'm this very pure Kriya Tantra person, and then I'm just like a normal guy with my friends and at work and running around shopping and stuff, and there's no difference between me and anybody else. None of that's being properly embodied or integrated, and so you don't really improve, right? You don't really get anywhere. You don't get any realizations. So I have here, observe Padmasambhava's 5 retreat conditions. So Padmasambhava, one of the greatest Buddhist teachers ever, also seen as Bodhidharma, who brought in the Chan or Zen traditions into China and Japan. Also the founder of my beloved Chud lineage of teachings, or cutting lineage in Tibetan Buddhism. So he was just an all-around amazing immortal, so to speak. Like even martial arts and Qigong, they say, come from him, right? So he had 5 retreat conditions, which are just amazing. So number 1, always observe the power of the body. Self-generate always as the deity throughout your retreat. So again, Kriya Tantra lifestyle, throughout your day, every day, do the power of the body. 2, power of speech. Observe noble silence, only say mantras. So in retreat, that's what you want to do. Don't talk, don't waste your prana. But in a day-to-day life, as one of my big heroes, Leo Tolstoy, said in his sayings, that he was just such an amazing, big Christian anarchist, as you know, really big mystic. But I've seen it even on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, sometimes they post the saying where he says, before you open your mouth, ask 2 questions, right? Before I say anything with friends or online writing, texting, in public, at Starbucks, ask 2 things, right? Work or at play. 1, will it hurt anybody? That's a tougher thing because nowadays people take offense and stuff. But that's a great question to ask. Like, how is it harmful? Is it what I'm about to say? Is it going to hurt anybody? So with the 10 non-virtuous actions, like we've got 4 of them being speech, gossip, like either stupid gossip, where you're just wasting people's time talking about stupid stuff, like blah blah blah, just to hear yourself talk, or sort of mean gossip, where you're talking behind people's back and disrespecting them. Lying, saying stuff that isn't true, exaggerating, so forth. And then the big things, what they always say, divisive speech. The politics is all about this, really, dividing people against themselves. And then hurtful speech, like hurting people's feelings, really being, sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic, any of these things, disrespecting people's religion or their ethnicity, gender, or whatever. Like, am I hurting somebody by saying this? So Tosi says, number 1, is it going to hurt anybody? And then number 2, is it necessary? Do I really have to say anything? I sort of joke what I love, like when I go to Japan all the time, if I go to an onsen, like even on the subway, you should talk. You shouldn't like this talk on your phone or whatever. You have to go between subway cards or train cards to take a phone call, because I like this. It's not a question of you having the right to express yourself or see who you are, do what you want to do. Other people have the right not to be exposed to you, which is, I think, funny. So, well, I have the right to speak my truth. Well, I have the right not to be forced to have to sit here and listen to you speak your truth, right? So what I love about if you're in an onsen or a hot spring in Japan, it's silence. Because it's like, don't disturb other people's peace and enjoyment of this moment. And I always joke in North America, where we always love to hear ourselves talk. When you go to the hot springs that we go to, everyone's talking. And even it says, like, if I go to Scandinavian spa, they always have like a sign, be quiet. You see, like, North American people, they can't do it. There's like, you just their prana is like ready to explode. It's like, I can't sit here and not hear myself talk. So you'll hear people, like they're trying to talk with their friends, or was like, it's like they can't help themselves. Now that's our culture, mind you. We always have to express ourselves all the time. And hey, look at me, I'm special. Look at what I'm doing. It's kind of like little kids saying, Mom, look at me, I'm riding my bike without the handlebars, or Dad, pay attention to me. We're so much like that in North America sometimes as little kids. So Tolstoy always says, power of speech, which is basically, is it really necessary to say this? What's my intention to say this? Is it harmful? But two, like, am I just what they say? If you can't improve the silence, shut up, right? So this is a good, as a Kriya Tantra person, I don't observe this. I've got a long way to go with this, but this is a good one to observe. Okay, number 3, power of the mind. Practice single pointed concentration. So in other words, practice mindfulness. Good old teachings from Thich Nhat Hanh and other great Buddhist masters. And of course, mindfulness practice, so popular now everywhere in the world. So power of the mind, yes. Control your mind, your monkey mind. And that should be your main power. And so from a tantric point of view, we're combining in our self-generation our power of the body, sort of expressing ourselves as the deity. So the recognizing where it's like I generate myself as holy body in my deity and holy mind of my deity that's inseparable from bliss and emptiness. So the 3 recognitions where everything I see is like the body of the deity, the mantle of the deity, the energy of the deity. 2, everything I hear is the mantra of the deity, the prana and the sound itself, the vibration, so to speak. Right, mind and prana going together. Everything's expression, the mantra of the deity. So car goes by, that's the mantra. Hearing the birds sing, that's the mantra. Wind blowing like a newspaper down the street, that is the mantra of the deity, right? And then the mind, everything I think or experience or perceive is Mahamudra. It's the emptiness of the mind, which is the Dharmakaya of the deity, wisdom truth body of the Buddhas. Right, so that's sort of my main practice. So that's the unity of shamatha and vipassana, or concentration and wisdom realizing emptiness. The 2 of the 3 higher trainings. Of course, those are grounded on moral discipline or our own personal ethical integrity. But we have mindfulness, shamatha, concentration, and then what are we using that concentrated mind for? For wisdom, in particular, wisdom of realizing emptiness, or the 2 truths of dependent origination or karma and emptiness going together. 4, power of signs. Do not contact people outside your retreat. So this is like really maintaining a steady energy. This is the hardest part, but if you're a Kriya Tantra person, like this is hard, where it's almost observing like kosher laws. If you were like a really, really strict ultra-Orthodox Jew, let's say, is technically you only want to hang out with people on your wavelength, like people that are part of the mandala, part of this program. It sounds very, very religious and kind of mean. So that's not ignoring people. That's not like, well, I can't work at this job, so I can't talk to normal, stupid people. They have to be holy and pure like me, right? It's not having that attitude, but it's just in terms of who you invest your time with, in terms of your close social circle. It should be ones that help you improve this practice. So wholesome, decent people. They don't have to be Kriya Tantra practitioners. Why? Because who's a Kriya Tantra practitioner nowadays? Anyway, nobody, right? So, but nevertheless, you want to hang out with your like sort of wholesome people, people with integrity, really decent spiritual people. So the old I remember watching an interview with a famous punk rock singer there, John Joseph from Cro-Mags. That's sort of my generation punk rock in the 1980s. But he's a big, pardon me, Hare Krishna guy. He's got the old quote where he says, "You know people by the company they keep." And so what are their social, who do they hang out with? And are they good people? What are their friends like? If they're really, really wonderful friends, well, it says a lot about the person themselves. And it's also the idea that, just like they say in Taoism, be careful who you marry, you become just like them. In Tantric Buddhism, be careful who your teacher is, you become just like them, your teacher for better or for worse. And same thing with your friends. Who is your social circle? Power of signs, you become just like them. If you hang out with thieves, you become a thief. You hang out with addicted drug addicts, you become a drug addict. You hang out with drinkers, you become a drinker. You hang out with people that are like, let's say, are into infidelity or running around. That's what you become. Hang out with crooked people, cheating people all the time, stealing, not paying their taxes, whatever. You become that way. You hang out with political people, really, really negative, very sort of activist, angry political people, whatever the politics, or religious people, super mean, judgmental religious people. You become part of a Sangha, temple, or church group like that. You end up just like them. So we want to have sort of high level of Kriya Tantra practice. So we have to have, as part of our little mandala of people that support that, whatever that looks like. And it might just be like, your family, of course you love them, they might be supportive, or your friends. It's just like, hey, they understand what you're trying to do and they support it. They don't agree with it, maybe they don't like it, but they're like, wow, Matthew's trying to be a pure person, he's a really deeply religious guy. I think that's great. I don't want to meditate, not interested in Kriya Tantra, but I just noticed that it's like, hey, he's a pure person, he's a good person, very wholesome person. I like that about him. I want to be like that, and I support him being that way. So that's kind of the idea of, it's tricky sometimes, obviously, and you don't want to be sort of very judgmental and sanctimonious and very religious that way, be very sort of exclusionary to people. Like, I'm clean, you're dirty. I'm sacred, you're profane. I'm holy, you're unholy. I'm part of the elect group, you're the infidel, that needs to be destroyed or punished or excluded or whatever. You don't want to be that way, but it's all about keeping, again, sort of like a pure mandala of practice. And finally, number 5, power of energy. Do not let people see your deity or how you eat in retreat. Well, that's kind of weird. But technically, like Jay Tsongkhapa says, which I think is great, like his ideal, of course, he wanted everybody to be a monk or a nun, but it's like the idea is kind of like, if you're not going to be a monk or an unordained person, try to act like one. Like, be a really decent sort of person, like an early Kadampa, one of Atisha's students, right? Early Kadampas are known to be sincere, wholesome practitioners who make moral discipline, mind transformation, or lojong, and loving kindness their main practice, right? Being like really good yogis and yoginis. So it's kind of like being that way. So Jay Tsongkhapa says that, and I think it's great. So number 1, outwardly, in other words, publicly, what people see, that the interface is that you are a Hinayana practitioner. So the 5 freedom vows, pranimoksha vows, not killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, or intoxicants, are how you interface with the world. You're a wholesome person on that level by observing those kinds of rules. So that when people meet you, it's like, wow, well, wait, that's just this person, like he's a very ethical person, has a lot of integrity, he's a very wholesome person. Inwardly, Mahayana practice is your main practice. Everything you do is with bodhicitta. So you're not trying to be some martyred saint or some kind of superhero figure where it's like, everything I do, I'm so pure and amazing, is to save the world, right? I want to save all sentient beings, this kind of thing. You have to do this inwardly. So it's like a secret, it's kind of like giving to charity secretly, right? And I think that that's really, really beautiful. Like, it's not about proclaiming how amazing and how holy you are. So it's an inward practice, like a real deep religious practice where it's just, what's my intention? My intentions, again, they're not particularly hidden, but nevertheless, people don't have to know about them. They're private. And discreet is bodhicitta. Everything comes from bodhicitta. Now, finally, my secret practice, my personal practice, just like my love life or my finances. Like, I remember years someone said, in the old days, you'd never ask people about their sex life. Now you never ask people about their finances, right? So whatever is so intimate to you and so personal, might be your relationship with your family, or again, maybe your mental health. You have mental health issues, and that's all sort of private. You don't run around and say, oh my goodness, I'm bipolar today or whatever, or I have a drug addiction, because it's something personally, maybe a little bit ashamed of it, but the point is, it's intimate, and it's a vulnerability, so it's not something that you just sort of proclaim openly and share with anybody. It's a similar thing here with our tantric practice, is it should be secret that way and personal that way, so it doesn't attract. It's not about increasing your ego, attracting obstacles, making issues or drama, right? So it's the idea of, do not let people see your deity or any of your tantric stuff. So you're not like walking around dressed like all in white with a big turban and kadvanka. You walk into, Starbucks, oh, bless you. Here, take this herbal medicine I gave. I said a mantra. I'll say a mantra whispered in your ear, help you have a higher rebirth. It's not like that. You're some kind of Batman or Superman in public running around. It's just like you're a wholesome, decent, kind, sincere person, and secretly. So you keep all this to yourself. So if people have faith and have asked, or there are other tantric Buddhists, you can share this. So eating, what you eat in retreat was this idea that you're trying to bless and alchemically change your food. That's part of the offerings to the deity. So in public, you don't do this where it's just like doing all mudras and oh my god, blowing on it, saying mantras, at Starbucks at the table out loud, like I am sending holy energy because I'm green Tara and this is nectar, da, da, da. And then everyone's like, what's wrong with that guy sitting? He's weirding me out. You keep all of that private, right? You don't make a big scene about it. So there we go. Those are the 5 retreat conditions. And then it's the last was the 3 general retreat conditions here, which is body retreat. Practice chaste behavior in pure view. So again, pure view of karma, of emptiness, pure view of yourself as the deity. So, the deity has a pure body, deity is pure mind, deity has pure enjoyments, deity is in pure environment, and deity has pure actions. Right? So that's all the purity that we have to manage as our main practice for tantric practitioners. In particular, these kinds of purities, 4 great purities, purities that inform our Kriya Tantra practice. Chaste behavior. So yeah, you're not sort of this wild party person running around. We have to be sort of a very sort of controlled, measured, subdued, sincere, kind, and pure person. 2, speech retreat. Do not use ordinary worldly speech or even spit, anything that sort of releases your energy or prana. Of course, that's during your retreat. So again, if you're not in retreat, just trying to be a Kriya Tantra person, then like I say, all the sort of regular bodhisattva and Hinayana vows are good. You look at how Thich Nhat Hanh talks about how to have mindful, pure Dharma speech, which is again, the opposite. So instead of gossiping, be sort of upfront, sincere, and honest in your speech. Not lying, which means always telling the truth to the best of your ability, as the best you can. Not divisive speech, but actually bringing people together with speech, making them feel safe and at home and feel like a warm, open, friendly attitude towards others. This is, I work in the service industry. It's not so easy for me to do this. But anyway, so it's a practice, right? And then, so not divisive and then not hurtful. Like make your speech be happy and holy and wholesome, not hurtful. And then mind retreat 3, cut off all superstitions and all actions of the deluded mind. Okay, that's the real difficult part. So this is where we train in our shamatha, our concentration, and our vipassana. So our mahamudra is really training to see the emptiness of the mind, all the practices that go along with that. So again, Kriya Tantra, these are the retreat, the things that we do while we're in retreat, but again, we're sort of making our day-to-day life a meditation retreat. We are permanently in retreat, always in the middle, being in the world, as Heidegger say, being in retreat, permanent retreat. Why? Because real retreat is just changing your mind. So wherever you go, there you are. So your mind, whether you're in retreat, out retreat, you're always in your mind. You are your mind. You are your actions. You are your thoughts. So technically, if what a retreat is basically in that moment where we're really directing energy and discipline to understanding and taming our mind, purifying our mind, well, that's something we should be doing every moment of the day, embodying that 24/7. So again, that is when we talk about Kriya Tantra or Action Tantra. These are the actions we take, the actions we embody. We are our actions sort of in the Sartrean way, right? So this is how we are performing, sort of the ethical performance, like Michel Foucault would always say, talk about sort of the idea of creating a self through the different arts of life, different arts of love and practice and pleasure and all these things, techniques of the self, so to speak. These are the Kriya Tantra techniques of the self to create ourselves as the deity that deep down we are already. Okay, dedicating this again, may this be a cause for our enlightenment of all sentient beings. May we be able to really put this into practice and practice hard our Kriya Tantra learning, sort of our study here and our practice for the welfare of all sentient beings. So blessings of all holy beings, the truth of karma, proper pure intention, and all of our Dharma wishes be fulfilled. Okay, thank you and see you next time.